Hey everyone, welcome back. Remember that feeling of something's brewing we were left with at the end of Act 1 of All My Sons?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
get ready because Act 2 cranks up the tension to a whole other level.
It really
We're
does.
diving into the evening of the same day,
Yeah.
and Miller wastes no time in turning up the heat.
Right.
Remember that break an apple tree?
Oh, absolutely.
A constant reminder of Larry's demise
Right.
and a symbol of the family's fractured past?
Yeah.
Well, gets chopped down in this act, as if they could just erase the past by physically removing it.
Yeah, like just get rid of the tree and it'll all be fine. Right.
Exactly. It's almost comical, isn't it?
Yeah.
As if simply removing the tree will somehow erase the weight of their secrets and the truth about Larry's death.
Right.
But as we know, and as this act brutally reminds us, the past is never truly gone.
Never. It's always there, lurking beneath the surface.
And what makes it even more interesting is how this theme of truth versus denial
Right.
plays out through Kate.
Oh, absolutely.
She's desperately clinging to the hope of Larry still being alive,
Right.
even believing in Frank's horoscope over the factual evidence of her son's death.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It's heartbreaking, really.
It is.
You can understand why she wants to believe,
Oh, absolutely.
but it's painful to see her clinging to this impossible hope.
It is.
Is this just about a mother's love?
Right.
Or do you think there's something deeper at play here?
Yeah.
A subconscious awareness of Joe's guilt that she's trying to suppress?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, it
Yeah.
makes you wonder how much she knows, deep down.
It really does.
Because on the one hand, she's grieving and she's a mother and she's clinging to hope. But
Right.
on the other hand, there's this sense that maybe, just maybe, she's avoiding the truth.
It's like she's trying to protect herself from the unbearable pain of accepting Joe's role in Larry's death.
Exactly. And Miller is so masterful at using dramatic irony to heighten this tension.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about it. The audience knows the tragic reality of Larry's death,
We do.
yet we're forced to watch Kate construct these elaborate fantasies to deny it.
It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Yes.
You know what's coming,
Right.
but you're powerless to stop it.
You are.
And speaking of arrivals that change everything,
Oh, here we go.
George shows up,
Uh-huh.
and boy, does he bring the storm clouds with him.
He really does, and you can feel the tension ratcheting up the moment he steps onto the stage.
Absolutely.
The stage directions even describe his shirt as filthy.
Oh, I love that detail.
It's such a small touch, but it speaks volumes.
It does.
Ooh.
It emphasizes how carrying the burden of truth
Yes.
about Larry's death and Joe's involvement has visibly worn George down.
Exactly. He's carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders.
And it subtly foreshadows the emotional turmoil he's about to unleash upon the Keller family.
Now it's coming.
And unleash, he does.
He does.
His confrontation with Joe is explosive.
It's a powder keg waiting to blow.
Joe, who has up until this point managed to maintain this facade of innocence,
Right, this carefully constructed persona.
finally starts to crack under the pressure of George's accusations.
Because George isn't afraid to call him out, to challenge his version of events.
He's not holding back.
No, he's not.
And it's not just George's words that chip away at Joe's composure.
Right, there's something else at play here, too.
It's those seemingly insignificant slips of the tongue from Kate.
Exactly. Those little moments where the truth threatens to bubble to the surface.
Like when she mentions Joe's past illness.
Yes, that's a perfect example.
It's like a crack in his carefully constructed facade.
And you can just feel the tension building.
Yeah, that eventually something has to give.
Oh, it's coming. The question is, how long can they keep it bottled up?
And give it does. Kate, in a moment of raw, unfiltered emotion, slaps Joe.
Oh, man, that scene.
It's electric.
It is, and it's heartbreaking at the same time.
She's finally acknowledging his guilt for the first time, publicly.
Right, she can't deny it anymore. Not with George standing there.
But then she utters that heart-wrenching line. God does not let a son be killed by his father.
Ugh, that line gives me chills every time I hear it.
It's so powerful and so tragic.
It really is.
It's like she's desperately trying to convince herself to cling to a belief that would absolve both Joe and herself.
And maybe, in some way, it's her attempt to hold on to the last shred of her family.
It makes you wonder, how can someone carry that kind of burden?
The weight of the truth, even if it's buried deep down, must be suffocating.
Absolutely. And this is where Act 2 leaves us on a precipice, with the truth threatening to explode and shatter the fragile peace the Keller family has so desperately tried to maintain.
The calm before the storm, you might say.
Exactly. It's not just Joe and Kate, though, is it?
No, not at all.
Chris is really feeling the pressure, too.
He is. And, it's interesting because up until this point,
Right.
Chris has been clinging to this very idealized image of his father,
Right.
right? The war hero, the self-made man, the embodiment of the American dream.
Right, exactly.
And he gets furious with Anne
Oh, yeah.
when she dares to even question
Right.
family's integrity.
Exactly.
But as this truth starts to unravel,
Uh-huh.
Chris is confronted with the devastating reality
Yeah.
that his entire belief system is
Yeah.
built on a lie.
Oh, it's got to be earth-shattering for him.
It is. It's like the rug has been pulled out from under him,
Yeah.
and he's left grappling for something, anything to hold on to.
You almost feel sorry for him,
You do.
even though he's been so quick to judge others.
Right.
What do you think is going through his mind as he's forced to confront his father's actions?
Well, I think you have to put yourself in Chris's shoes for a moment, right?
Okay.
This isn't just about some family secret. This
Yeah.
is about the very foundation of his moral compass,
Yeah.
crumbling before his eyes.
Right.
The man he idolized, the man who represented in his mind success, integrity,
Yeah.
is revealed to be responsible for the deaths of his friends, his comrades.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
It's a betrayal
Right.
on a deeply personal level, but it's also this larger disillusionment, I think, with the very ideals that he holds dear.
And on top of all that,
Yeah.
he represents that younger generation,
Absolutely.
the one that fought in the war, that sacrificed so much.
Right. Exactly.
And to discover that his father profited from those sacrifices,
Mm.
that he knowingly put lives at risk for personal gains,
Unforgivable.
adds another layer of betrayal.
It's a lot, and it all comes crashing down on Chris.
It does. And you can feel the weight of that realization.
You can.
In Chris's words, during that final confrontation with Joe,
Oh, he doesn't hold back.
he does not. He calls his father a bloody specter,
Yeah.
accuses him of profiting from blood money.
It's powerful stuff.
There's this raw, almost biblical sense of anger and condemnation in his voice.
Yeah, it's like he's speaking for a whole generation that's been betrayed.
Exactly.
And that's what makes All My Sons such a powerful piece of theater.
It is.
It's not just a family drama.
Right.
It's a searing indictment
Yeah.
of wartime profiteering and the moral compromises that are made in the name of success.
Mm-hmm.
Miller forces us to confront those uncomfortable truths about ourselves,
It's true.
about the choices we make when we're faced with these impossible dilemmas.
And he does it in such a brilliant way.
He does.
By grounding these larger themes in the very human, very relatable experiences of these characters.
Exactly.
We see their pain, their confusion, their anger, and it makes that message all the more impactful.
It does. It really resonates with the audience.
We've been talking a lot about the characters' inner lives.
Yeah.
But we should probably talk about the historical context, too.
Oh, absolutely. All My Sons is more than just a family drama.
Right.
It's a reflection of a society grappling with the aftermath
Yeah.
of World War II.
Think about it. Being part of the audience in 1947,
Oh, wow.
the year this play premiered,
Yeah.
the war was still a fresh wound for everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
And here comes Miller,
Right.
thrusting this mirror in front of them,
Right.
forcing them to confront
Yeah.
the cost of their so-called victories.
And not just the cost in lives,
Yeah.
but the cost in their souls,
Yeah.
The compromises they made, the silence they kept.
It's like Miller saying, you know,
Yeah.
this is what we're capable of.
Right.
This darkness
Yeah.
that we harbor.
And he doesn't shy away from it.
It
Just,
isn't.
he really lays it bare.
And that makes the play so relevant, even today, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean,
Right.
we're still asking those same questions today, aren't we?
We are.
What compromises are we willing to make?
Right.
When does the pursuit of profit outweigh human cost?
It's a question for the ages, really.
It is.
And it goes back to that question we were talking about earlier.
Okay.
Why is Chris so quick to condemn his father?
Right.
Is it purely about justice for Larry and the other pilots?
Yeah.
Or is there something more to it?
See, that's what I find so fascinating about Chris.
Right.
Because on the surface, he's the moral compass of the play.
He is.
He's disgusted by his father's actions.
Wow.
He's ready to turn him in, but
Yeah.
could there be a part of Chris that's also wrestling with his own complicity?
Oh, interesting.
Right, because he benefited from that blood money.
Yeah.
Maybe unknowingly, but still.
It's like he's looking in the mirror and seeing a part of himself that he doesn't want to acknowledge.
Exactly. And that's the brilliance of Miller's writing, I think. He leaves us with this lingering unease, this question of complicity.
Right.
That we, the audience have to sit with long after the curtain falls.
Because we're all part of the system.
We are.
We're all complicit in some way.
To some degree, yeah.
And it really makes you wonder, what would we do when faced with those choices?
It's a tough question.
It is a tough question, but an important one, I think.
It is.
And, that's what I love about this deep dive.
What's that?
We get to really unpack these big ideas
Absolutely.
in a way that stays with you long after the episode is over.
It's about sparking those conversations,
Exactly.
seeking those connections.
So to our listeners out there,
Yes.
as you delve further into All My Sons, pay attention, not just to what the characters say,
Okay.
but to what they don't say.
Oh, I like that.
Their silences, their compromises, their denials.
Because those unspoken truths,
Yes,
they often hold the most power.
they really do. This has been a fascinating discussion,
It had.
and I hope our listeners are just as captivated by All My Sons as we are.
Me too. It's a powerful play.
It is. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Sounds good.
Until next time, keep exploring those complex themes and keep asking those tough questions.
And we'll be here to dive into them with you.